Hello and welcome to this episode of The Issue, where we examine pressing matters affecting the nation. My name is Victor Mwila. On this episode, we are looking at the contribution of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to national interventions on the drought and disaster situation in the country, which has become very serious, impacting literally all sectors of the economy. My guest in the studio today is Director Environment Management in the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, Godwin Fishan Gondwe. Mr. Gondwe, I would like to say thank you so much for accepting to come and appear on the Issue program, this episode of the Issue program.
Thank you for having me.
So just from the outset, we've been talking about climate change, and we have seen this government has shown commitment from in terms of addressing issues that are affecting the environment, in terms of climate change issues. When we are talking about greening of the economy, what exactly are we referring to? Because I think this is the essence of the existence of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. So what exactly are you referring to when we're talking about greening the economy?
Thank you so much. The Ministry of Green Economy and Environment was created with a mandate to steer all economic activities in this country towards achieving a green economy. What does that mean? A green economy ensures that we have a low carbon footprint in all activities that we are doing. We also have energy and resource efficiency in all activities that we are doing. And we have all the inclusivity of everyone in the participation of the economic activities. That is greening.
So when we talk, you are talking about carbon. You limit the amount of carbon that you are sending into the atmosphere or the environment. What exactly are you talking about? What does this carbon do? What impact is it making on the environment?
Thank you very much. Again, a very, very good question. The term carbon has been adopted to include all greenhouse gases that are emitted by industry, by anyone who is participating in activities, in economic activities. This carbon, because of its nature, it surpasses other greenhouse gases. So that's why it has taken over to represent all greenhouse gases. Now, it goes up into the atmosphere. It interferes with what we have as an ozone layer of gases, O3, which is a protective layer for us from the rays that are coming from outside. That's why when we punch holes by having accumulation of carbon, then we allow other forms of light to enter the atmosphere. And when they bounce off the earth, they become heat waves, thereby causing increasing temperatures, which is a very, very dangerous situation that interferes with the way the rain cycles happens everywhere, all the winds. That results in what we are seeing: rain when we don't need rain, drought when we don't need drought, and it interferes with the whole climate situation, causing climate change.
So we in this, we also referring to polluting the environment?
Pollution.
How does that come in?
Pollution is at another stage. This is the interference with the way the world has been created, the way Earth is created, the way the weather patterns flow. That's the interference, that's the danger. Pollution is more to do with the health of the people. Yes.
So when you were talking about the carbon emissions, or the carbon that we send into the atmosphere, you referred to the situation we're experiencing now as a country. We have drought, and you talked about sometimes you have rain when it's not time for rains according to the seasons that we have in the country. We are under a drought situation right now. Would you give us an overview of what's going on and its impact on the environment, agriculture, and generally communities?
Victor, we are in a very, very serious situation. The drought that we're experiencing has affected all sectors of the economy. We have 116 districts. 84 to 90 districts this year have had crop failure. That's serious. When we talk about drought, we are talking about deficiency in water, because we need the water that falls as rain. This has been very, very low, and all water systems have been affected. That's why our country, which is dependent upon hydroelectric generation, is in dire need. That is affected also. So all this, we are looking at only the northern parts of Luapula, northern parts of Northern Province, northern parts of Mchinga, which received normal rain. The rest of the country, none. It has received less than normal rain, causing the situation and impacting on the food security in the country.
Which is also the reason for the amount of load shedding we're experiencing as a country?
Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about community engagement and awareness, which I think are very crucial in addressing climate change issues. I would like to know how the ministry is dealing with these issues, because you're talking about people in communities, there are activities in communities that are resulting in some of these problems. How are you handling the issues of engagement as well as awareness creation in communities, so that across the country people understand the problems we are facing and what their role is in addressing these problems?
Thank you so much. First things first, it's preparedness. The ministry has prepared a number of guiding documents: the policy on forestry, the policy on environment, the policies on climate change. We have also guidelines on how we will adapt to this situation of drought and whatever will come, whether it's more flooding and so on and so forth. There is a document called the National Adaptation Plan. It is there. It was put in place last year. So with that, we are now moving on to include the communities to work with us. For instance, forestry, which ties very, very much in the interventions to climate change, because forests are by nature known as sinks. They absorb carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. So there, the forestry department has created a number of forest management groups. And these are so many. We are talking about 283 community forest management groups created to manage an area equivalent to about 7.5 million hectares. These communities are active, they're on the ground. That's one intervention. We have also trying to fill in the gap of staffing insufficiencies. The government has opened up an intervention to establish or to involve the communities by appointing honorary forest officers. So about the honorary forest officers, in the pipeline, there are about 488, which are about to be appointed. But those that have already been appointed, there are about 1,400 are already appointed and are working. That's on the forestry side.
Okay,
yes.
So now that sounds like there's good response coming from communities.
Yes.
How do you rate our commitment as communities in these places where you have been? Do we see, and I think the other thing is traditional leadership, which is very key. How much of commitment have you seen in these communities?
The community forestry management groups I've talked about are identified and registered with government under statutory instrument number 11. So chiefs are totally involved in this process. They are key stakeholders because the areas that I've mentioned are areas that are falling in chiefdoms, and thereby the chiefs are part of the involvement in the management of these community forest management groups. Beyond that, there are a number of projects that the ministry has developed and implemented that also involve the community's participation. On the fingertips, I could talk about the Lake Tanganyika Development Project in Northern Province. Its area of interest is in Sumbu, and in Sumbu in Insama District and in Pulungu. We have community forests opened up in that area. There is the Transforming Landscapes project. It is also operating within Eastern Province, Muchinga, and also Northern Province, involving communities. We have the ZFUP, the Zambia Forest Landscape Project. It has done a lot, and it has involved a lot of communities. And for this one, I would want to highlight, as we speak now, with the drought situation, we involved the communities to have farmer-led irrigation schemes, which are active. They are at different levels of implementation. Some of the irrigation schemes are planting now, maize. Others are harvesting. Others, so they are at different stages. And we are talking about 21 of these created in this country. That's a contribution for the ministry.
Thank you, Mr. Gondo. We'll take a short break, and we'll pick it up from there. We'll further look at how your ministry is collaborating with other government agencies, because this is quite an important issue, and you are not alone. There are several agencies that you're working with. So we want to examine how you are working with other government agencies and how that is impacting in as far as addressing the issues of environmental degradation are concerned. So we take a short break, and when we come back, we continue discussing the contribution of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to national interventions on the drought and disaster situation in the country, which has become very serious, impacting literally all sectors of the economy. We take a break now.
The Issue is a program that looks at topical issues happening in the country. Watch The Issue every Friday at 19:30 hours, only on Zanis TV, Channel 6 DTT and Channel 458 DTH on Topstar. Don't miss.
We are discussing the contribution of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to national interventions on the drought and disaster situation in the country, which has become very serious, impacting all sectors of the country's economy. So, Mr. Gondwe, we were talking about how you have gone into communities to address these issues of climate change, which are as a result of where we are today. We have this drought that we are experiencing, which has also brought about power rationing in the country. Let's look at how you are working with other government agencies in addressing these issues. How is your collaboration with other government agencies, and How important is that?
Thank you so much. The ministry cannot go at finding a solution for the drought alone. So it needs to collaborate. So we are working very, very closely with the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation. We've done programs together. For Magoye, we have a document that will deal with the Magoye issues. You know, the rivers are drying and so on and so forth. There is a solution working together with the Ministry of the Water Development. Water Resources Management, WAMA, we are working with them very, very closely on this aspect as well. Department of the Department of Water Affairs, which we called Water Affairs before, but now it's DHRD. We are very closely working together. Departments of Energy in the Ministry of Energy, we are working closely together, coming up with joint programs. But that doesn't tie us with the resources within the local resources alone. No, no, no. We need also external resources. In fact, a huge resource we need to source outside. So we are working, again, very closely with the partners like the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the Global Environment Facility, all those, again, to collaborate to come up with programs. And there are a number of projects that we are developing as at now for further implementation.
So far, are you able to share any success stories with us or notable achievements in combating the impact of the drought and advancing environmental sustainability in the country? Any success stories that you can pick out and share with us and clearly show us that here is something happening,
yes,
and that we are in the right direction addressing these issues?
Thank you so much. If I pick the Northern Province, the Lake Tanganyika Development Project, activities are visible because that project looks at alleviating poverty as well as protecting the integrity of the ecosystems in the lake basin. So it's a well-known project. You go to the forests, you will see what has been what interventions have been put up. There are a number of forest management areas created. They are there. We look at Eastern Province. The whole Eastern Province has gained a lot from the Zambia Integrated Forest Landscape Project, which has established irrigation, farmer-led irrigation schemes, and a lot of other intervention areas in the Eastern Province, which are visible for you to see. And for your own information, we have noticed that the innovations that we did for the irrigation schemes there sort of were resilient, more resilient to the drought. We got some harvests there. As compared to those who did the normal agriculture, the crop was totally lost. So that is a good lesson that we've learned, and we want to upscale there. Yes, so these are some of the areas where I can say.
Talking about upscaling,
yes.
Before we close, I would like you to share with us what the ministry is planning going forward. What are some of the priority areas in these issues? Are there also, I know that you've not gone to every corner of Zambia. Are there plans to go into certain areas where you've never been, for instance?
Yes, I'll look at the early warning first. We have some gaps in the capture of information to speak to all the areas for the Zambia Meteorological Department. So in there, we have accessed support for the Zambia Meteorological Department to install automatic weather stations. And
okay, that's another important point,
yes,
because the Zambia Meteorological Department has now come under the Ministry of Green Economy.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that's that. Under Forestry Department, I've mentioned the honorary forest officers coming, and so there are a number of interventions. And we want to also increase our interventions on the forests that we have. So protecting them, okay, and also rehabilitating those that have gone off mark. So by enriching certain forests or creating or afforestating certain areas, I'm trying to use terms that are friendly to all. So where forests were damaged to a level where we didn't have a forest anymore, we want to revive those and then manage what we have. So it's a big job that we have, but with resources from Global Environment Facility, we are able to come up with projects. There are about 3 that are coming online with that kind of support, about 30 million for us to use in that area.
As we close,
yes.
Finally, compared to other countries in the region, or should we say Africa,
yes.
How do you rate our response as Zambia? How are we doing to climate challenges?
I know, yes. For a nation that is not prepared, then you have no future. But for Zambia, we are prepared. With the guidelines in place, we can be able to engage our partners, cooperating partners, and come up with projects. We don't know how much money we'll do because we are ready. But if we are not ready, then we would have no point for judging success. So Zambia is ready to move on.
Zambia is ready.
Yes.
Mr. Gondwe, I would like to say thank you so much once again for appearing on this episode of The Issue.
My pleasure.
Thank you. There you have it, viewers, an important discussion on the contribution of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to national interventions on the drought and disaster situation in the country, which has become very serious, impacting literally all sectors of the economy. My name is Victor Mwila. On behalf of the entire production team, it's goodbye for now.